All right, well, here's a few news stories. I was amazed to see this. So 1 in 5 young Americans think the Holocaust is a myth, and this is ages 18 to 29, and another 30% said they didn't agree or disagree with the statement that the Holocaust is a myth. So the level of unbelievable ignorance is much higher than I had imagined. Jailbreaking black box large language models in 20 queries. That's interesting. Let me bring that down. I haven't seen this one. October 2023, so just a couple months ago. Prompt automatic iterative refinement is an algorithm that generates semantic jailbreaks using an attacker LLM. Well, that's interesting. Anyway, let me save this link. This is quite interesting. What's going on with this thing? And I'm going to throw it on my links and on Mastodon. This thing will just move. All right. And there's a similar article that is in my news, which maybe is something based on the same paper or not. I don't know, but that was well, I may not have it here, but there was a way to make jailbreaks. Yeah. I don't know if this is based on the same thing. This one's Scientific American. And what they found was that the way to jailbreak an AI is to have another AI do the jailbreak. And this article wasn't very clear exactly what the other AI was. But to use one AI to attack another is, they say, quite effective. Related to how to trick LLM-based database to retrieve private info. Well, I think that counts as jailbreaking. You know, jailbreaking is, I think, generally just referring to tricking an AI to violate its security policy. And that means several things. It could mean leaking the training data. It could mean making statements that are offensive or dangerous that it's not supposed to do. You know, in general, what we did in the first projects, where you have a large language model and then you try to tell it some rules, and jailbreaking is the procedure of tricking it into not obeying those rules. So these are very interesting and very important too. Another related thing I saw an article about last week is that large language models are pretty good at answering English phrase questions, but they're terrible at numerical questions. And in particular, they said asking it to look up something in a SQL database, it only has a 22% chance of getting it right, and asking it to do a more complicated query from a database, it has a 0% chance of getting it right. And this is really important as everybody is rushing into AI projects. And I know I've got a client I consult for that believes that you can replace a normal search engine with an AI and it will be better. And I'm trying to tell them I would not make that assumption. In fact, I think an AI might very well be much worse than a normal search engine. Anyway, good, interesting article. And on the same topic, the EU has now made comprehensive AI regulations. So what they have here, them in 27 countries, have weighed, well, they're weighing. This article is not entirely clear to me whether they've finalized this or they've reached a deal for the first regulations, paving the way for legal oversight. Okay, so I don't know what that means. Somewhere partly through making it, and they want to ban facial recognition, and they will require the foundation models to comply with transparency obligations, which would make a lot of sense. That fits some other rules they passed recently requiring all large websites like YouTube and such to have transparency about their algorithm. So they have to draw up technical documentation and disseminate summaries about their training content, and then have evaluations and stuff. So it sounds pretty good. Someone wants to ask why you should not record live traffic from Wireshark. Yes, the reason is Wireshark is not very safe. Wireshark, for the convenience of the end user, contains a whole bunch of protocol dissectors. So instead of just recording the packets, it will analyze them and try to find all the fields in them. And those protocol dissectors are just contributed by a community of users, and they're not subject to good security audits. So some of those protocol dissectors introduce security vulnerabilities. So if you run Wireshark sniffing live traffic, there are ways to hack your machine through that. So if you want to have a monitoring agent running all the time, recording traffic, you should use a much simpler agent like TCP dump that will just record the traffic without trying to interpret it, and then you use Wireshark on the saved data to analyze it later. Another reason, by the way, is that Wireshark just takes all your saved data and puts it in RAM, so before long it will fill up the RAM and crash. So, it's just not intended to be a thing you use to monitor large amounts of live data. It's more a human convenience tool you'd use to analyze saved data. Good questions. All right. And let's see if there are any other good ones here. Oh, this one is pretty interesting. These Daily Beast journalists went into Gaza and with great difficulty interviewed Gazans. The Gazans are very, very afraid to say anything about what they think, because they say if you say anything to criticize Hamas or you say the wrong thing about the war, they will just kill you and then say you were a spy. But the Gazan police did come and demand that they delete their videos and stuff, so clearly they're trying to hide things, but the point is, this shouldn't be too much of a surprise, the Gazans are very unhappy with Hamas. They say, as you would think, they say Hamas planned this attack, they didn't prepare for the inevitable Israeli response, they should have stockpiled food, they shouldn't just be basically sacrificing our lives, and this is the issue. I mean, they're also victims of the terrorist group Hamas. They're just being used by them, and apparently they largely know it. They're just afraid to say so. So it's very interesting, and helps puts a human face on things, and perhaps make it easier for people to understand why they haven't overthrown Hamas. It's just not that easy to fight a group like that, sort of like the Mexican drug cartels. They're a scary, violent group, and so it's not as simple as you might think to get rid of them. Here's an article about the evolution of LLMs. Now it wants me to verify two-factor authentication. What is this garbage? All right. Now I've gotten into something that looks like an infographic. Oh, I see. It's a chart showing the evolution of all the various LLMs. Well, that's sort of interesting. All right. I'll save that one. Goodness. So complicated. There are so many. Anyway, all right. I think that's probably enough news for now. I'm going to stop the recording.